Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Pancake podcast. I'm your host, as always, Chad. This is my co-host, TF. How you doing tonight, TF? It's been a long time. It's been like 3 years since we've done a podcast.
It definitely feels like it. I'm doing okay. It's a pretty good day. A little bit stressful to end the day, but you know what? We're here doing the podcast, and it's been way too long, so it's about time we catch up with everything and just put another show out there for everybody.
Apparently there was an eclipse today. I slept through it, but apparently it happened.
Yeah, that's been building up for some time now. Actually, it's kind of funny. Last night, I knew this was coming up. You know, it's something I've been following for years. But I remember, I think it was probably 2007, 2008, something like that. I started that whole Facebook, what do you call it, event or whatever for today. It's going to be very odd after all these years not seeing that any longer in my upcoming calendar. But
I completely slept through it, and I feel kind of guilty about it because it feels like something I should have been there to see. But I don't have any glasses or anything anyways, and they say you shouldn't look directly into it, so maybe it all worked out. But we have another co-host here. His name is Joe. How are you, Joe?
Oh, yeah, forgot. I'm doing pretty good. It's good to hear you be enthusiastic for the opening. Because I remember I was listening to our last podcast earlier, kind of refreshed. That was the night we had all those issues, and you were kind of welcome to the Pancake Boat Pod. You sound like
that's like every other podcast. Let's
you want to be anywhere else in the world, so it's good to hear you.
This is actually a very, very rare week where we just 5 minutes we come on and then we just jump right into it. There's no issues or anything.
Oh, yeah. I think, you set up a new laptop, so it seems like that's been pretty good in terms of, getting that stuff recorded and done. And your microphone as well.
Yeah, I actually got a new laptop 2 weeks ago, so hopefully this sounds better, this records better, because we had a lot of issues on the old one. We had a lot of issues on the one before then. I was kind of sad to have that laptop die out after 2 years, because I was kind of hoping it'd last a lot longer like my one before that, but it was not meant to be, and anytime I get on there now, it takes an hour to start it up, and it just it was time for a new one.
Your laptop life is still way better than mine, so you're still in good shape.
This is true.
Sorry, Tim.
I was super surprised he was even able to get everything off of that laptop. It sounded like it was in pretty dire straits.
Thankfully, I was. Thankfully, I got everything. I still have everything from my old laptop too, because I just keep moving all my stuff every time I get a new one. But oh man, we got when was our last show? You said it was June or something, Joe?
I think it was June 17th, so yep, long time ago.
So we got about 2 months to cram into our show here.
Basically, we did it near the beginning of summer, now we're towards the end of summer, so...
Yeah. But
got a whole summer to catch up on.
Hopefully we'll have more time to start doing these more frequently, do some more normal shows, because it's actually been a long time since we've done a normal, what's going on in the news type show.
Yeah, pretty much. But for a while, too, when we did that, we were kind of stuck some weeks of there's nothing going on in the news, so I guess at least it makes these more eventful.
There's a lot going on in the news this week, but I don't know if I necessarily want to talk about it.
Not really.
I feel like everybody else is talking about it. And who wants to start here, guys?
You already know I'm going to start, because I probably had the least effective 2 months out of all of us, and really it boils down to we've kind of had some car issues, so it's been kind of just trying to fix that for the past couple months, and pretty much having to squeeze into a pickup truck the rest of the time. So it's kind of one of those things where it's
every time you talk about you and your grandfather in the pickup truck, I picture Sanford and Son.
It sort of is like that. Just imagine a more modern day pickup truck. Not even that much more modern day, but just picture a kind of better looking one in a sense. That's pretty much it. It's the three of us squeezing into that, and not really ideal for driving around, but so it's been kind of just staying in for the most part, having some family over here and there. And you and I, you and I watched SummerSlam yesterday and had a cool weekend out of that. But for the most part, it's just been a pretty easygoing summer. A lot of heat, a lot of just hot days, really, and just trying to enjoy the air conditioning when it's on. But other than that, it's been pretty much my summer. It's been kind of a low key kind of summer. My birthday happened. My birthday was a pretty fun day. We had family over for that. Yeah, for the most part, it's just been kind of a low key summer. One of the most low key ones I've had in a long time. But that's been pretty much my summer.
Wow. All right, I want to thank you all for listening. We'll see.
Yeah, podcast of the year material.
Low-key podcast for a low-key summer.
Yeah, the one thing about not doing many podcasts in the summer is everyone was spared my annual complaining about the heat every single week, like you usually get.
Oh, you could do that now though.
I can. Today's it was 85 or something, which I know for you that's probably cool, Joe, but I'm over summer. I've been over summer for a while. I'm ready.
That's pretty relatively warm, I'll give you, because when it's 88 or 89 here, it's still pretty warm for me, so I can understand that.
I'm ready for the fall, which is my favorite time of the year. And it's not that far off now. It's actually starting to it's not really feeling like fall, but it's kind of feeling like it's on the horizon, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but they're starting to have Christmas decorations up as well, believe it or not, some stores.
I have not seen any Christmas decorations yet. I've seen some Halloween ones, but I guess I'll go next. I got quite a few things to get into here. I also had my birthday. I turned 31 this year, which didn't freak out quite as much over that as I did over 30, because 30 just feels like an intimidating number. But, the 30s haven't really been that bad. In some ways, I think it's actually better than the 20s. Kind of hard to explain, but I feel like you guys will get that in a few years.
30 is the new 20.
Yeah, and it's just kind of, I don't know, you stress out less. I still stress out over some stuff, but, more of the important stuff. I don't know, it feels like there's less pressure to have to get everything done all at once, in your 20s. It just, you kind of mature a little bit, but yeah, that was a pretty fun birthday. We didn't do too much. There's not really too much to do around here, so, I just wanted to go to, a different town or something, so, we went to Holton, which is about an hour away, and we were, looking for a restaurant. We found, this, truck stop place. My sister's we drove all the way out here to go to a gas station and eat. But it was actually pretty good food, and I had, this, I had the chicken fingers, of course, because that's what I order in, every restaurant ever, but I also had, this, Snickers pie, which was really good, which was, my birthday pie of the year. And we went to, Walmart and stuff. Just a fairly standard day, but I actually really enjoyed it, just getting to spend time with family. And, I had the fair last month, and got to go see the alpacas, which are, one of my favorite animals. It's become, a tradition now. Every year I have to take a picture with the alpacas just because they amuse me. And didn't really go on too many rides this year. I don't really do rides like I used to. When you're a kid, you're all about the rides, but you get older, you start to get sick more on it, and being a bigger guy, you can't really fit in there that well. Even height wise, your legs get cramped up. It's just not the same. Maybe if it were an actual amusement park where better rides, that'd probably be fun. But I went on 3 or 4. It was fun, and played a few games, which is always kind of a rip-off because you're paying $5 to get a 99-cent toy or something. But
yeah, I did that once, never again.
I do it every year just because, I don't know, it just feels like something you have to do at the fair. And you had some fair food, which is also pretty overpriced, but again, it's something you feel like you kind of have to do, and so that was fun. And they actually had some really good fireworks, too. I think they have better fireworks at the fair than they have here for, the 4th of July, so that was pretty fun to see those. And, let's see. Oh, yeah, there was some, acrobats, too. They had, this thing called, the Anastasini Circus. It's actually, a pretty famous circus, I guess. And there was, these acrobats, swinging on this thing, going up and down, and they were, really good, and there was some, pretty attractive ladies in there. They were, taking pictures with, people afterwards, and I was tempted to get a picture, but, it was only kids going up, so I kind of chickened out, but yeah, they were fun to watch. And let's see, outside of that, last week we went on kind of a belated birthday gift for me. My mom got me some tickets to a WWE house show, which was a lot of fun. It was the first show I've actually been to since 2011 when I went to Raw with UTF, so it's been quite a long time.
Man, that has been a long time. 6 years, basically.
Yeah. But
a little more, actually. A little more than 6 years now.
Honestly, the past few years, I just haven't really been that tempted to go for whatever reason, but going again, it was a lot of fun. Really reminded me of how much fun it used to be, and I definitely want to go next time that they're around, probably next year at some point, but pretty easygoing trip down. My sister did her usual singing in the car, which can, that gets a little old, but
More
it wouldn't be a trip without that at this point.
Yeah.
More Nickelback, I take it.
No, thankfully not. She's actually like singing like some old school Hannah Montana. Hey,
that sounds kind of fun.
She thinks that's she always thinks that's really hilarious when she sings like Hannah Montana songs. Which
what songs was she singing?
Ah, man, like the best of both worlds, and, like a whole bunch
of
like hits.
Nostalgia trip for you, at least? Like
I'm not going to lie, that sounds like a pretty fun road trip.
You haven't heard my sister sing. But
well, that's true.
Hopefully she's not listening, but...
I'd probably be singing too loud for her to hear. She'd be able to hear.
I'd love to hear you sing some Hannah Montana. But it was actually a pretty fun...
Next trip we'll do that.
Let's make it happen, man. We'll both sing. You too, Joe. You got to sing too.
I'll be recording it. Oh, I'm the recorder guy.
You got to sing with us, Joe. Sing some High School Musical. Sing some Sharpay. Huh?
Sharpay.
It was a pretty easygoing, fun trip down there, and like I said, the show itself was awesome. I went with my sister, who wasn't really sure if she'd like it or not, because she's not really into wrestling. She didn't really know anyone, but she seemed to actually have a good time. She got really into like Nia Jax, who was like this bigger girl who was like throwing the others around. Like she was like pretty into that, and that was actually one of my favorite matches on the show too, because like Alexa Bliss, who I love, was in it. Sasha Banks, who looks absolutely beautiful in person, and really good main event. It was Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, and it was pretty fun matches. Just a really fun show all around, and that was actually the first time I've been in that arena too, because they used to have the Bangor Coliseum in Bangor, but they like tore that down a few years ago, and that was kind of old and run down. So this place was a small place, but it was a bit nicer. And then actually a funny story is like we stayed in like this hotel that was like at the casino, because for whatever reason like our usual hotel around that area was all booked up, probably because so many people were at the show. So we went in to check in, and I have like my bag, and like we get off the elevator, and I go to get off the elevator, but like it closes on me.
Oh man!
Like it goes like really fast, and then I'm like going down to the first floor, and then I have to go back up, and then I walk out, and I see my mom and sister just standing there laughing. But yeah, I actually wanted to go to the casino afterwards, too, because even though I was pretty tired, because I was pretty low on sleep that day, it's like, we're staying in a casino, I may as well go to the casino. So I go in there, and they actually carded me. Like, I kind of took that as a compliment in a way, that they would think I'm under 21, but, like, I was, like, looking around, like, trying to even find the thing, and I'm, like, giving them cards that, like, are, like, not my ID because I'm tired. So, like, finally I just, like, gave it to them, and I didn't really do too much gambling. I was just kind of out of it. So I went up to the room and, got some sleep. And thankfully my sister didn't wake me up because I was snoring this time. So that was a pleasant part of the trip. But the next day it was not quite as fun because we actually got like a flat tire. So like, and that's like a 3 or 4 hour trip. So like my mom had to like put some air in it, and we had to like,
oh man,
like keep coasting by to get home, which thankfully we did. But as always, whenever we go down there, I picked up some Five Guys to take home, which was great. Love Five Guys. Always look forward to that. But, excuse me. But it was a really fun trip, and been pretty low-key ever since I've been home. I was home quite a bit last week, which got me kind of stir-crazy. My mom's been kind of sick. She has, like, this, like, kind of cold-like thing, and kind of getting worried about that, because she's still sick after, like, a week and a half. But Thankfully, I did get out a little bit yesterday, so that was fun. And that's pretty much been my summer. Pretty much covered everything, I think.
That definitely sounds like a fun trip. So if your mom gets better soon, too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. How about you, Jeff?
I definitely am wishing the best for her as well. I know what it's like to, go through that, and it's just, never a good thing when somebody's just not feeling well. So definitely wishing the best for her.
Yeah, you kind of want to say something to make them feel better, but you don't want to overdo it. But
yeah.
How about you, TF? What we get into your summer?
Well, it's been somewhat of an eventful summer. I guess kind of the most appropriate way to start it off would just be to talk about kind of something it's been a tough time period for me over the past few months. I know I've talked many times on the show about my mother being very ill, and she's been in and out of the hospital for years for various reasons, and really ever since I was a kid, she's kind of always been in and out of the hospital for some reason or another. She's had heart failure, she had cancer, she had thyroid issues, and just, it just kept piling up and piling up. And I know on our last show I discussed it as well, that, my mom hadn't been well and she'd been in the hospital for quite a while. And unfortunately she did pass away in late June on the 28th. And what can you say? It's one of those things where you can't really find words to say, the kind of pain you feel losing someone, that close to you. And especially since, I've already lost my father and when I was younger, and, just recently losing my aunt who I grew up with and was kind of like a second mom for me. And, now it's a different life. And I guess you never really know how it's going to feel until it actually happens. And, it's been a tough summer. There's been a lot of adjustments, a lot of change, and just kind of adjusting to this new way of life where, I don't have that guidance of my parents anymore, and I can't look for them, for wisdom or to see what they think about something. And, I had that with my mom, and she was someone who I was incredibly close with, and, losing her is kind of like losing a part of me. And there's, so many things, whether it's just, holidays or just everyday life, where you just kind of have to learn how to, enjoy things again. And I know that's something that's going to take me time, and it's something that, it isn't going to happen overnight, but, it's something that I'll probably be dealing with for quite some time. And, in a way, I kind of have to look back with a sense of, I guess, gratefulness that I did have the time that I did with my mother, because she really many times, ever since I was probably about 9 or 10, had been told that she didn't have that much longer to live because she was very ill, and she always came out on top. And, I think that's why it only made it, even more shocking when, she finally did pass this year, that, she didn't come out of it again. And, she was a fighter. I have nothing but respect for, the strength that she had, always being so ill and always coming out on top somehow. And I'm just very grateful that I had all those extra years with her that in reality, most people don't get when someone they love is as sick as she always was. And she is probably the strongest person that I will ever know. And, if I can, someday be even, a quarter of as strong as she was, I would feel like, I was doing great. I'd say I have no regrets about that. So.
Yeah, I gotta say, brother, I was really, I really felt for you this summer. You're a really strong person to make it through some of those things. I know ever since that happened, I've been, thinking a lot about my own mom, because she's been sick a lot throughout my life, too. And, I really dread the day that I have to go through that. And just, I just really want to give you props for keeping together as well as you have.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I know I haven't really been on or I've been around that much, but there's been a lot of new things to get used to. And, it's kind of already been kind of a rough past couple of years for me in some ways. I try to stay positive, but there's been a lot of things that have been, going better. But in some ways, there were things that were getting worse. And, my mom's failing health really, it really, I think, exaggerated that to an extent. And, I just hope now that, maybe I can start a healing process there, and maybe things can start to look up as I kind of adjust to the way things are. And things will never be the same. There's no way to replace someone that has that big of an impact on your life and who you are. But, I just hope that maybe this can spur me to do bigger and better things and be stronger as a person and, be the person that I want to be. And, I appreciated all the support that you guys have given me. It's been incredible. The people that I think sometimes I didn't really feel were there for me all the time were in a lot of ways. And it's just made me, I think, appreciate and realize even more, who truly is my family. And that includes you guys. And while, I may not have the big family that I once had, with my mom and, my father and my aunt, I still have you guys, and that's really what matters. And I have my brother and my sister who are always there for me, and I have a lot of good people in my life, a lot of cousins and my aunt who have just been very supportive for me and just been there for me. And it's going to be a rough year, I think, especially with the holidays coming up. It's going to be tough, but I just have to look forward. I can't look back. And
well, we love you, brother. We'll be there for you.
Yeah,
I know you will. You always have been. So I know you always will be. But outside of that, it's kind of hard to move on from that. But I did have a trip planned that I've been talking about for months, really, on the show. My trip to Canada, and honestly, with everything that happened, if we wouldn't have planned that so far in advance, I know for a fact that it never would have happened with everything that the way it turned out. But it was one of those things where everything had pretty much already been paid for, and I think it kind of had to be a bit of a scaled back version of the trip. But I think in a way, the fact that I had already saved up all that money for everything, it had made everything a lot easier with as far as financially, which otherwise, if I wouldn't have had like a ton of money saved up, it would have been an absolute disaster with the way everything happened, because my mother never had life insurance. They would never give her life insurance with the way her health was. It just wasn't something that was ever an option. So the one thing I will say is that planning that trip did probably save me a world of trouble this summer. And in a case like that where we'd already invested a couple $1,000s into something like that, it was something that I think that was good for us, that we were able to go on that trip, and it was fun. A lot of stories about the trip that, I'll get into, but this was actually the end of July. Had been planning that for quite some time. Our trip up, out west to Edmonton in Canada to see Kelsey, our good friend that I've known for almost as long as I've known you guys. And it's kind of funny because kind of like you guys, with Kelsey, we'd had some times where we didn't talk for a few years, and then just always would come back, and
she disappeared for a few years.
She did. I mean, the weird thing is me and her kind of always stayed in contact after that. Like, I think maybe in like 2005, 2006, we didn't really talk that much, but one of the earliest things on my Facebook that I still have are like us talking on there, like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a couple of years. How are you? And then we kind of, go our separate ways for a while. And the same year that we ended up kind of reconnecting and meeting up in Chicago, I ended up going on a trip with her. She ended up coming here to Detroit. So ever since then, we've been kind of doing those trips. And our last one was kind of a really crazy, huge trip. This was a little bit scaled back version of that, but it was fun nonetheless. Getting out there, and the day we were flying out, of course, it was early on I want to say it was a Saturday morning. It's either Friday or Saturday morning. I think it was
Saturday because you left on my birthday.
Yeah, yep, you're right. It was Saturday morning. It was the 22nd, and it was very early in the day. We were leaving there at like 5 in the morning. And if you guys ever like have a flight somewhere, don't make it on like a Friday or a Saturday morning. I'll just say this now because we got there like hours early, and we were still in line, like just waiting to get through like security for like 2 hours or something. Not even to get through like customs or anything, just get through security. Like, thank goodness, that part actually happened in Toronto, but there was like hundreds of people there waiting in line, and I don't know if maybe someone like just didn't make it through security or something, or there was like an issue, but it was just awful. And there was a ton of people there, and it's just like so hectic trying to get there to the flight. And thankfully, on the flight to Toronto, one of the flight attendants ended up being late for work. So it ended up getting delayed like 45 minutes to an hour. But the flight to Toronto was like super short. Like, I've talked about it before, although I think last time it was I want to say it was Minneapolis, I think it was. It's kind of even shorter than that. So it'd basically be like flying to Chicago. It took like 40 minutes or something to make it to Toronto. And it was even more hectic there because we have to go through customs and all that. Well, here's where things get interesting. We dropped off our luggage in Detroit, and they asked us where it was going to end up. And we were like, oh, it's going to Edmonton. So they said that they're just going to send it straight to Edmonton. It wasn't going to go to Toronto. And we said, are you sure about that? Because usually we have to pick up the luggage, once we get through customs. They're like, oh, no, it'll just go straight to Edmonton. So we get through Toronto, and we go through customs. They don't ask us about our bags or anything like that. And we're already, running late. But thankfully, again, this flight ended up being delayed. So after, a brief delay there in Toronto, we ended up getting on the flight out to Edmonton, which is a pretty decent flight. It's a good 5-6 hours. So not too much of an eventful flight, really. It was pretty much your basic miserable experience up there in the sky, you're kind of just sitting there cramped up against people who you don't really know, and it's kind of hot and stuffy in there and loud. This flight didn't have any entertainment or anything on it either, and thankfully it was a larger plane. I think it was just an older plane, so it wasn't like it was super cramped. The flight from Detroit to Toronto was in a really small plane, and that's a whole nother level of misery.
I hate that.
I'm a short guy, and I can't even stand up all the way in the plane. That's how small it is. So
try being 6'4".
I can't even imagine that. You're you got a good what, probably 7-8 inches on me, and I'm barely able to stand up, so I can't even imagine that. But yeah, I made it there to Edmonton, and I've always said it. Anytime we do a trip, no matter how big or how small it is, even just a little trip to Chicago, me and my brother made this with the whole incident, with my run-in with the law or whatever. Something always has to happen, and this was about the time it would happen. Although with this trip, we would have a secondary one, because this one, I guess, was solved a little bit too easily. But we get there, and we were waiting for our luggage, and it never comes out. So we end up going over to the luggage, the baggage claim area, where they kind of, process lost and found luggage. And it turns out our luggage never left Toronto, because it was supposed to go through customs. But they didn't send it through customs, so it's kind of just sitting there somewhere. And so I'm sitting there probably a good 3,000 miles away from my luggage, without anything. I had whatever I had in my carry-on, which was basically nothing. I had a pair of headphones, a couple chargers for my phone, and my passport and whatnot. So I was kind of worried at that point, because if this takes days, this is going to be a problem, because I basically going to be wearing the same clothes and for days, which is not a very optimistic prospect. But thankfully they were super nice about it, and they actually gave us $100 to spend on stuff, in case we needed toiletries or a toothbrush or something like that, which honestly it wasn't even their fault. It was WestJet that we went to for the baggage claim, but it was Delta that lost the luggage, because it was kind of a charter flight through WestJet, but it was Delta that was actually doing the flight. So it wasn't even their fault, but they were super happy to take care of it and help us out with it.
That's awesome.
Which I felt if this was in the U.S. would not have happened. They'd have been convinced that it was a bomb or something and never allowed it to come through. But thankfully they said that they were going to send it on the next plane over, and that they would just deliver it to our hotel room. So at that point, Kelsey's dad actually showed up and picked us up and took us over to the hotel, where we checked in without our luggage, but, just checked in because we kind of have to, And from there, the first day was not really all that eventful. It was kind of a stressful day, but we ended up going down to the mall and downtown and hanging out for a while, and we went to the Taste of Edmonton, which is kind of awesome. I don't know if you guys have ever been to any of the Taste Fests, but it's kind of something that we always have to do whenever we go on a trip, whether it's one of the cities in Michigan or, somewhere in Canada. We always have to go there and basically get these tickets. And
there's no Taste Fest, Caribou.
there might be one in Portland. I wouldn't be surprised.
There might be.
Portland seems like a hipstery city, so I wouldn't be surprised if they have it there. But it's basically all these vendors from different local restaurants set up, and there'll usually be dozens of them, and they'll just have these little food carts everywhere, and you buy a bunch of tickets, and each food item takes a certain amount of tickets. And honestly, it's kind of a ripoff sometimes, but it's just awesome to kind of walk up to these stands and be like, oh, I want this or whatever and that, and you just give them the tickets, and they give you it, and you eat it. So
that sounds like something I'd enjoy.
So I'm sure that you really pay way more for the food than you would if you just paid cash for it. But I mean, at this point, like I said, I had already pretty much paid for all this stuff, so I didn't really care. Like, I don't even remember how much it was anymore, but I basically just, like, gave the money to Kelsey when we got there and said, oh, thanks for getting those for us, and we went over there. So it was really nice, though. It was a nice day, a little bit hot, but and it's actually kind of funny because it was, like, just kind of hot for me there, but there was, like, a heat warning in effect there because it was going to be over, like, 84 degrees, which is, like, super rare up there. But for me, I was just kind of like, yeah, it's kind of warm out in the sun. You know, it's kind of hot, but I wasn't, like, sweating or anything. But they were, like, telling people, oh, yeah, don't spend too much time out in the sun today, and if you do, make sure you have water with you or nowhere to find shade. And I'm like, yeah, Chad would like this place. This is rare for it to get this warm. But, yeah, we went there, and we went to this poutine place that I've talked about on the show before, the La Poutine, and it's I don't know. I'm sure you know what poutine is, Chad, because you're kind of up there.
Oh, yeah, they have that everywhere.
Yeah, so it's common there. Joe, maybe not so much, but
I've heard of it.
It's basically like French fries with gravy, but not like the gravy that you're used to, because I know you don't like gravy. It's almost like a beef sauce is what I think it tastes like, but apparently it's vegetarian, which I didn't even know. It's kind of like a, I don't know, like almost like a broth that they put over the fries, and they put cheese curds on there, and then you can put different toppings. Like I've gotten this one that's like donair poutine, which is like kind of like a kebab on there. If you ever had that.
My sister actually really loves that stuff. Like I think it's okay. I'm not
I love
into it.
We don't really see that here that much, which is weird because we do have a lot of like, we have like one of the largest like Middle Eastern populations in this side of the globe, but it's just that particular thing is not very popular around here. But yeah, I mean, it's really good. A really good place. It's really the best poutine that I've ever had, and I don't eat it, granted, all that often because it's not super popular in the Detroit area. Kind of have to go over to Windsor to get some of that, but it's just really good. So we hit up that on the first day. It's kind of a classic spot for us when we're over there in Canada, and outside of that, that day it was a huge relief. About 9 p.m., we end up finding out that our luggage actually got delivered to the hotel, but they didn't tell us. I kind of had to just stumble on it and see it sitting in the lobby somewhere, which was a bit disturbing. But and then I just was like, oh yeah, that's our luggage. And they're like, oh okay, you can take it. It's like they didn't ask like for my ID or anything. They're just like, yep, just take it. But as we would learn, this hotel was not the classiest of places. But I'll get to that later, because the first night there wasn't that bad. We go up there. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the roadway, we'll say. So, yeah. But we had some pretty good times out there. Hit up like West Edmonton Mall. It's one of the largest malls in the world. Probably the largest mall still in North America. And at one point, it was the largest mall in the world back when it was opened in the 80s. It has like an amusement park inside of there, like a water park, like these big roller coasters and stuff. So a lot to do there. It's kind of a fun hangout spot. And hung out there for a while, and really it's kind of like a mall on steroids. Like everything there is huge. And they have like this big pirate ship in like a lake that's inside of the mall. They have like a skating rink inside of there, and
sounds like an indoor city.
It basically is. Like this thing's probably as big as honestly, like this whole thing is probably as big as the town, like Caribou, like the downtown area. Like, I couldn't even tell you how many stores are in there. There's like a theater in there, which most malls have, but it's like an IMAX theater, which we saw a movie in IMAX there in Dunkirk. The girls wanted to see it because Harry Styles from One Direction was in there. But it was a good movie because I love World War II stuff. I'm kind of a World War II buff. So it was a really, really well-done movie.
My sister went to see that. She actually fell asleep during it. She's not super into war movies.
Yeah, I mean, if you went there just because if you're not into that stuff, I could see how it would have been boring. But I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was really well done, and it's kind of funny. They actually like had it in like 70 millimeter film, which apparently is very rare. And I think the last time they actually showed like a film movie in that theater was in like 2001.
Wow.
So it was actually like really delayed, like an hour or so, because they had to actually like bring somebody in to like who knew how to set the film up. Because apparently it was like somebody who had retired, but they just said like, we'll pay you money to come in here and do this because no one knows how to do it. So kind of a lost art there, but I thought it added to the character of the film actually. But so that was fun, and And of course, we have to hit up the K Days there, which is kind of like their version of like the state fair there in Alberta. It's well, I guess I shouldn't say the state fair because Alberta's like really huge. Like it's probably bigger than any of the states in the U.S. except for maybe Alaska, I think. So they kind of have a bunch of little fairs there in the various corners of the province, but in the Edmonton area, it's kind of like it's the big thing, and it's a lot of fun. It kind of reminds me a lot of going to the state fair. Back when I was a kid, and I really miss that. We haven't really had a state fair here since 2009, and it's kind of I don't know. I mean, it's not really the same as when you're a kid because kind of like you said, the rides just aren't really the same. Like you go on there and you're like, well, this doesn't make me feel too good, but
it feels smaller every year too. At least here, like they always cut back on the rides. Like there were way more when I was a kid.
That's not really a problem over here. There was actually quite a few. There was probably comparable to the amount of rides that they had at the Michigan State Fair, which was really like on I guess just a size scale, probably a lot larger than what they were doing there because it was a lot older and had been around there it was the oldest one in the U.S., so it was a huge thing. But actually, it's kind of funny. There was an incident at a fair in Ohio somewhere where somebody got on the ride, like the Fireball ride, which I've talked about like many times with you guys about how it was always my favorite ride there at like whenever I went to the state fair. And they had that over there at K-Days as well. And that day there was an incident on the Fireball there in Ohio where it basically like fell apart in like midair and a guy died and there was a bunch of people who were like gravely injured and probably like paralyzed for life. And we learned about this literally just as we got off that very ride.
Wow.
Like they ended up closing it down that day, and like after we got off of there, they just closed it. It was like literally we got right off of there, and my sister like pulled up her phone or whatever and was like, "What's this here about this that says somebody died on the Fireball?" And like it was actually a news story. Like the next day I was out walking around and I walked past a newsstand and it was like K-Days closes Fireball after American man dies on ride. And I was like, man.
Let me just say this is kind of inappropriate, but I'm glad that you didn't hear about that from a tweet of mine.
Yeah. And that was the surprising thing. There wasn't any crazy celebrity deaths while we were out there on the trip. I know, sadly.
If there was, you weren't going to hear about it from me. Because that was like a thing, like 2 or 3 years, like every year it happened.
It was. It literally was. And this year I know it was very sad that, right before the trip, Chester Bennington of Lincoln Park ended up, he passed away. And that was kind of, it was really sad. I know we didn't really talk about that before, but I know, Joe, I know that your tweet about it really summed up how I felt about it. It was kind of they're kind of a band. They were a band that really kind of helped, I think, for people like us who maybe weren't going through the best of times, they kind of helped, people like us realize that, hey, maybe it's okay to not always, be happy about the way things are. And I know they helped a lot of people through times like that as well, where, that was kind of an outlet for a lot of people. And it was just really sad to see, the way that happened, seeing him take his life and, I've been there, I know how that feels, and it's a terrible feeling to know that he wasn't able to fight off those demons. And
I was sad to hear yesterday that Jerry Lewis died.
Yeah.
I heard about that too.
Yeah, and it's just sad, but he had a amazing career, a huge, like, lengthy career, and sad to
whole life.
Yeah, sad to see him pass, but he did it all. If I make it to 91, I'll be like, hey, I'm doing okay. So doesn't make it any easier, but yeah, actually no celebrity deaths on our trip somehow. But I think the night of the fair there, at K-Days, that's when things started to get a little bit crazy because people started, like, that hotel was literally like across the street, from the fair. And in one of the pictures, and I think I'm going to actually link you guys to this because it kind of, I'm sure you guys saw it anyways, but it kind of gives you an idea of like where it was and compared to where we were on the rides because you can kind of see it from the rides. I'm going to link this in here so you guys can see this.
Right.
It might not make a lot of sense to the viewers, but I can kind of describe it where basically if you're looking over like the midway for the fair, it's like across the street from all of it. And it's in like it's this Coliseum Inn. You can see it as like the reddish brown building with like the inn sign on it.
Oh, yeah,
So a lot of the people who worked there at the fair and stuff were staying there. So some of these people were not the most quality of folks, but that wasn't really what made it a problem. So apparently, like, one of the floors there, they kind of rented out to people who, like, were more or less homeless before moving in there. And I don't really, not to sound judgmental, but it didn't really attract, like, the most sober and, I guess, sober people. So on about the third, this is getting to be about the third day or whatever, I'm deciding I'm going to have to do some laundry. So I go down to the lobby and ask, oh, is there laundry somewhere in the facility? They said, oh yeah, it's on the third floor, which just so happened to be the floor where all this was taking place. So like I go down there, and the first thing I hear when I get off the elevator is this guy like screaming at his wife and his kids, and basically the husband and wife are like fighting back and forth, saying that they're going to kill each other.
Wow.
And then the guy basically just says, well, how about I just kill myself, and like slams the door.
Jeez.
And I'm just like pretending I don't really see any of this because I don't really want to get involved. Like growing up in Detroit, I pretty much, like, if I see something like that, I just, it's not happening. You don't want to get involved because the only difference you're going to make is you're going to end up getting like hit in the crossfire if something happens. So I ended up like going in there, like doing my laundry, and there's just all these people like sitting out in the hallway, like watching me as I walk by. And this one guy just kind of holds out his hand and is like, "Can I get a high five, brother?" And I'm like, "Give him a high five." Like, I'm not going to ask questions. And I end up doing my laundry, like getting out of there. And no sooner do I get back to the top floor where we were staying at, we're getting ready to go to sleep for the night, and all of a sudden I hear the sound of somebody like trying to break a door down. And somewhere my sister has a recording of this, which I would like to somehow get for you guys to hear, just because it really illustrates what was going on.
I'd like to hear that.
There's a guy like maybe a couple doors down, literally trying to bust the door down, like screaming at some guy, saying like, I don't know if they were like staying together or what was going on, but they're just like yelling at the top of their lungs, like probably like drunkenly or whatever. And we're like, security ends up coming up and like dragging some guy away. And I was having flashbacks to the old days back in Detroit, back when we lived back there, and you'd hear that from the neighbors or something. But so it was nothing new to me. Like when we would tell Kelsey these stories, she'd be like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. You guys have to hear all that." And I'm like, "This is nothing new for me. Just bringing back some memories that I didn't know were still there, But
hey, they're just providing entertainment, I think.
And then, there are some seedy areas in Edmonton. It's kind of one of the seedier areas in Canada, probably, but I don't ever feel like uncomfortable there because I'm used to much worse. Like this is like a decent town compared to where I'm from. Like the thing is, I feel like if you get involved in something bad, it's going to be somebody with like a knife, or they're just going to beat you up. It's not like they're going to bring out like a gun, more than likely, because that's like super rare in Canada. So I'm used to like dealing with people with guns and stuff. Like if someone wants to like bring out like a knife or something, I probably can ward them off. Like there's not really any way to ward off someone with a gun. So unless you have another gun, maybe. But so that was one of the more interesting points of the trip, I think. Just the clientele there at the hotel, but.
The Mounties doing their job up there in Canada, keeping the streets clean. Yeah,
they had security guards there on the first floor, and I believe there was a strip club in the basement of the building. So that kind of tells you what it was like there.
Did you pay a little visit down there?
Yeah, I was going to say, you did bet you down there.
I did not. I have a feeling that it probably wasn't a place that I really wanted to be. I have a feeling that it was probably not a top-notch facility.
Given our first trip, I would imagine that our friend Clark would be all for that.
No, he'd probably just go eat a sandwich somewhere.
Yeah. Honestly, like, if I was going to go to one, it probably wouldn't be that one. So, don't really have a lot of a desire to go in there, but it wouldn't be that one. But yeah, a lot of good food, a lot of just eating, like, incredibly unhealthy, like, going to all kinds of crazy restaurants and trying new foods and stuff. So it was a fun trip, It was good to kind of spend that time with my sister and really just have a good time with everything going on, and outside of that, we went to this really cool like 50s musical called Greased or whatever, which is kind of like a almost like a parody of like Grease or whatever, and that was pretty fun. Trying to think of some of the other like little things that we did. Trying to think. One of the nights I mentioned us going to the fair, but there's also they had the Cirque du Soleil there as well. And we went to that, which was kind of interesting. It was like this steampunk circus basically. It was felt like I was in like a Sucker Punch or something while I was there. It was pretty fun actually. Like it was pretty interesting. Apparently it was like a big deal. I didn't know this, but apparently it was a pretty big deal.
Anyone there look like Vanessa Hudgens?
It was kind of hard to tell because everyone had these crazy costumes on, but no, not really. Not really. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun going there, and of course, like I said, a trip can never go off without a hitch, and apparently getting our luggage back same day was too big of a deal. But on the day before the last day that we were going to be there, we ended up going back to the fair, and I ended up apparently losing the.
Losing the.
Yeah, I think we lost TFEO there.
Cut
him off at the good point. What did he lose? I want to know what he lost.
Lost his soul, his heart.
Lost his smile.
Yeah, lost his smile. Tell me a lie. Yeah, so we're put on the spot here.
Yeah, I better pause this.
Yeah.
And we're back. We had some technical issues here, but TFEO is back, and he left us on the edge of our seats here. We don't know what he lost. We thought it could be his soul, it could be his smile, it could be... Would you lose your marbles?
Well, there's not much to lose there. No, actually, I didn't even know this till the end of the day, but I actually lost my wallet. Well, actually, it wasn't my entire wallet. What happened was, at one point, part of my wallet had gotten torn, and basically everything fell out. Like all of my cards, like everything, pretty much. Like important stuff, like pretty much whatever you can imagine you wouldn't want to lose, like got lost. And I didn't find this out until I got back, and I went to look for my room key, and I was like, it's not there. And I noticed that pretty much everything from like that half of my wallet was gone because it was just like open, like it was torn open. And granted, I've had this wallet for a very long time. Like I have like had pictures in there from like trip one, if that like tells you like how long I've had it. So
and you almost lost that wallet on trip one.
Yes, that was the same one too. That was the one where me and EFD got into that race.
And you dropped your wallet. Out. And I picked it up and brought it back to you because I'm an honest friend. I could have just put it in my pocket, but.
So, and this was actually the night when all the yelling was going on out there. So, like, I'm trying to like cancel like the cards and stuff to make sure that someone doesn't try to use them, while this is going on. So at this point, it's just getting a little bit scary because even though I didn't really intend on using my debit card for anything, like I still had like a limited amount of Canadian money. So at that point, we had like 1 day left, pretty much. But I only had probably like $60. So I was like, this is getting kind of, not good.
That's a situation we've been in a couple times too.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah. And here's the thing. I had 60, but I gave 20 of it to Kelsey to take a cab back to her house after we, we went back to the hotel. So I'm like canceling those cards, and you can actually hear me canceling them like in the sound recordings that my sister made of like the stuff going on. But the night actually turned out to be like not too bad of a night. It was kind of a funny night actually because there wasn't really anything I could do, so I tried not to worry about it too much. And I actually was sending you some of this stuff too. Like I ended up finding all these. It turned out like the TV that we had in the hotel room had like thousands of channels or something. And they had all these like different channels, like these like Asian channels, like there was these Indian channels. There was like these channels from like South America, like channels, like American channels. Like they had like Detroit channels on there. But I found this one Indian channel that it had like this Indian version of like Dr. Phil or something on. And there was like all these crazy music videos that I kept sending you pictures of them because I'm like laughing hard at some of this stuff. Like it's pretty much the Bollywood stuff that we already know is like pretty much awesome. But Like it was kind of like that in music video form. So I'm like cracking up at this, and
Was Jinder Mahal featured on that channel?
There was like I don't even know who like anybody was in any of this. Like I ended up using like Shazam like on my phone to like try and find like some of the music videos because I wanted to like save them just because of how amusing they were to me. And I think I actually sent one of those to you because it was like super amusing to me. It was like this guy like this trying to impress some girl, and there's this like this old guy with a beard like watching in the distance, like nodding his head, and I don't know, that was pretty funny. But so that kind of amused me for quite a while. But outside of that, the last day we kind of just hung out, went around town. Like went to these like cool like antique shops that weren't really like antique shops so much as they were like kind of like vintage stores where they had like stuff from like the 80s and 90s and like the 50s, stuff like that, like clothes and like toys and collectibles, which was really fun. We didn't have any money to pick up anything, and it would have been kind of hard to get that through customs, but
sounds like a fun place to just look around.
And then, because our flight ended up getting bumped up, we ended up having to check out early, like that night at like about 10 p.m., so we could make to our flight that was leaving about 1 a.m. So we head out to the airport, and we're getting through customs, and that honestly was not that bad. Like when you go through customs in Canada, you don't have to like take off your shoes and like walk through like that full body scanner or anything. It's just kind of like, walk up, like they put your stuff through a scanner, they like hold one of those little like scanner things like over you and are like, yep, you're good to go.
Wow.
Like it's not like this like interrogation basically where they're like rubbing you and like
they're more trusting in Canada, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's a totally different ball game because then like getting back into the US was like that was another story, but thankfully on the way back there were no issues with like losing our luggage or anything, which I was very thankful for, but it was very weird though, like in Edmonton, like on the flight to Toronto, where basically like we're standing in line and there's people in like their pajamas with holding like pillows and stuff, and like kids holding like teddy bears and stuff, like people like in their pajamas, like planning to sleep all night. And honestly, like considering it's like 1 a.m., I can't really fault that. Like I can't really sleep on an airplane. It's just not something that's gonna happen. But
or in a car.
But now a car, I've slept before. It's difficult, but sometimes it kind of puts you to sleep. It like rocks you to sleep more or less. But so yeah, that was interesting. Like kind of just this is different. I've never been on like a night flight before, but
that sounds really cozy. Like I've been like on night flights where it's like just starting to be night, but like I've never been on one that's like an overnight flight. That actually sounds kind of cozy. Just like sitting there at night, just looking out at the sky and.
It actually was. It was like by far like my favorite flight of the entire like that I've ever been on, probably, because it's like everyone got on there and they just like basically went to sleep, and their people weren't going down the aisles like going to the bathroom over and over. Like people weren't like asking you, do you want a snack, like 5 times. Like it was just like they turned the lights off after we took off, and it was just like it was like almost totally dark in there except for like the screens on the back of the seats. And I just sat there and like listened to music, watched movies. I watched like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Nice.
What else did I watch? They had that this movie that
How was Guardians 2? I haven't seen it yet.
It was really good. It was like a lot like more comedic than the first one.
And the first one was pretty comedic.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, but I think it was more like a comedy. Like even more so than the first one. There was a lot more like jokes and stuff like that. Like almost even like kind of like playing off some of the stuff that was in the first movie. But it was really good. I liked it.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I actually saw it in theaters too, but like I still watch it just because it was like the first thing I noticed where it was like, oh hey, that's on there. And then there was like some TV shows on there, like Big Bang Theory. I watched a little bit of that, and like Jane the Virgin was on there for some reason. Two Broke Girls was on there. It was like a super long flight, so I like watched a ton of stuff, but it was just so quiet. Like everyone's asleep. I'm just sitting there, and then like suddenly out of the corner of my eye, I see like the sky starting to get red, and I'm like, oh, the sun's coming up. And it was like one of the most majestic things that I've ever seen. Like seeing
Wow.
like looking out at like this clear sky with like these clouds in the distance and like mountains and stuff, and you just see like the sun rising. It was like kind of cool.
Now I want to just go on a night flight somewhere.
And it just made like the whole inside of it looked like you were kind of like you were in space or something like that. Like you're looking down and you see all the lights from like the little towns out there, and like the sky's like red, and it like making the whole inside of the plane like glow red. And it was just really cool. It was like something that I was like kind of like cool that I could experience that. Like, and I'm just listening to music, like just relaxing there. Like I didn't even feel tired that entire flight. Like, it was like 1 a.m. when we left, but by the time we actually made it into Toronto, it was about 8 or 9. So it was like a super long flight. We also were like going forward in time, so it kind of made it longer. Like, the time zone difference made it like, it was 1 a.m. and then it was like 9 a.m., but in reality it was only like about like 4 or like 5, 6 hours, something like that. But
you time traveled.
I did feel like that, and then it was kind of cool too, like getting in Toronto, like after like flying through like miles and miles of nothingness, like seeing this huge city in the distance, like coming up and landing there. And this time, I don't know if it was a different terminal or what, but the Toronto airport, like this side was like they were doing construction, and like they kept making these like really loud noises that were scaring people who were like, I think were like paranoid that it was like some kind of attack happening or something. And it was like this long walk. Like it felt like we walked for like a mile or something. It took us like a half hour to walk to the one side of the terminal to the other. And like we finally got there, and because the layover was like 2 hours, it was still like an hour till our flight ended up leaving. So I went to this little like breakfast restaurant that was there in the airport, and I was kind of just sitting there by the window, like looking out on the city, which was kind of cozy, like in the early morning. And then it was weird because like the plane that we went to Toronto, like from Detroit in, was like super small. This one was even smaller. Like it was so small that they couldn't even like put one of those like docks up to it where you like walk out onto it. They just had us like walk out onto the runway and get in it. I was like, am I supposed to just walk out here? And they're like, yeah, just go walk out. And I just walk up like into the plane, and like had little stairs coming down. Like I walk up, get in the plane, and it was like this really old, like smelly plane. And I ended up getting like stuck next to this like really old guy that kept farting in his sleep, and just a very miserable plane ride from there to Detroit. But thankfully it was literally only like 40 minutes. Then we got back in Detroit, and that was the end of the trip pretty much.
Must have been weird being home again after like being in another country for a week.
Well, it was very weird because then like apparently my brother like redecorated the house while we were gone, and I walk in like I don't even recognize it. I'm like, oh, this is different. Like he like got rid of all the old furniture and like put new furniture in and stuff.
Wow.
It actually was kind of nice, you know. It's kind of nice to see a change there, but I guess that was how he kept himself occupied while we were up there in Canada. But yeah, it was a pretty fun trip, and probably the biggest thing of the summer. Since then, just been working a lot, and just trying to get prepared for, who knows, like the holidays coming up, and things are starting to get more busy at work, and we'll see how that goes. The second half of the year is well underway now. We're getting pretty close to thinking about the fall. Birthday's coming up in a month from today, and I don't really think anything else too interesting has happened in my life since then. That was probably the big story of the summer for me.
Well, it sounded like a really fun trip, and
yeah, definitely
really motivates me to get us out there on another trip again. It's been far too long.
Oh yeah, we got to get back out there, and I'm probably going back to Chicago on the 26th of next month too. So.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, I started to save because I know it'd probably be a while, but I wanted to save anyways just to like start up a fund. But then the whole computer thing happened, so it's like, yes. Well, I don't have a trip fund anymore.
Got to restart again.
We're gonna make it happen at some point.
Yeah, that sounds exactly what happened to me. And when what was it, trip 2? I think it was.
Yep.
And it's kind of funny. Like we talked about like the eclipse this year. It's funny how I had planned for like so many years to like actually do something, like to go like where it was actually happening at, like where it was going to be like a total eclipse. I actually didn't do anything. Like it was kind of funny. Like I don't know if I just didn't feel like motivated to do it, or just in light of everything that had been going on, I just didn't really like. I don't know. Like it just kind of didn't feel right in a way. Like I'm not really sure exactly like why I didn't, but. It's going to be weird not seeing that in my like upcoming events. It's been there since literally like 2007, 2008.
It was weird after the Back to the Future 2 day passed, too, because we had that in our events for a while, too.
Yeah, and it's weird because when I first started that event or whatever on Facebook, I kind of did it as a joke, but it kind of seemed like it was...
Did we lose TF again?
I think we may have.
He always leaves us in suspense with those sentences.
Yeah, I know.
All right,
okay.
everybody.
Sorry about that.
I was going to pause again, but you're back. So.
Oh, I thought you paused.
might need to edit that a little bit. But like I said, it's kind of funny because I kind of started that as a joke, but it kind of actually started to catch on because like a bunch of people started joining the event over the years. And it's kind of funny to look through the years at like some of the comments people had made on it. Like one of them was this guy in like 2010 saying, well, this will be really cool if the world's still around then. You know, the world might end in 2000. There are 2 dates that the world might end, and one of them was like the date in 2012 when everyone thought the world was going to end.
And it was about that.
And it was kind of funny because like that was actually a real thing. Like people actually were thinking that was possible. Like there was like movies about it, there was like songs about it. You know, now it's just kind of funny to look back on it, but it was like kind of a huge deal back then.
There were people that thought Y2K would be the end of the world.
Yeah. But then it's just kind of funny, too, to think about, like, who would have thought that, you know, some people, you know, who knows, like, what, like, when the Mayans, like, started that calendar, like, what, probably a good, who knows, like,
long time ago,
2,000-3,000 years ago or something, like, when they started their calendars, that they probably just were like, you know what, we've went like 5,000 years into the future. We can probably stop there at 2012. Like, they probably just got lazy at that point because it was just kind of getting crazy. That one day in the future, like people would think that this was a real thing. Like this is a date. Like why they must know something we don't. Like no, they were just, you know, that was just as far out as they wanted to go. You know.
That is kind of like a random year to stop on though. Like I don't know. Like I think I'd go to like 2015 or something. Just kind of.
Well, you got to remember, in ancient times, calendars were a little bit different. Like,
yeah, true.
We didn't really have a full understanding of, you know, our understanding of time and space, and you know, astronomy is a little bit more refined now than it was back then. But for the time, it was like very ahead of its time in some ways. You know, the way that they did things, they were one of the most intelligent civilizations to ever live at that point. But it's just kind of crazy to look through there and think about how, like, eventually I kind of decided, like, hey, I want to do something with this. I'm going to go down there and have a trip for it. And you know, back then it seemed crazy. Like, it seemed like you know, I'm never going to really do it because at that point, you know, I hadn't gone on any of the trips that we went on. I had never really gone on a big trip anywhere or anything. And you know, the day finally came, and I was just kind of like, you know.
Did you see it?
Yeah. Actually, I posted a picture of it on Instagram. It was kind of cool. Like it was.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But apparently there's going to be another one like closer to here. Like it's basically almost going to pass directly over like where I live in like 2024, I think it is. I'll probably do something for that one. But I don't know. Today was a weird day. It was almost like just because it's something that I had been planning for so many years, I don't know. I had this weird feeling where. You know, when I started that page, like when I first said, hey, there's going to be an eclipse in about 10 years or whatever, just how different my life was back then. Like in 2008, you know, my father was still alive. You know, my mother was still here. You know, my aunt was still here. And I never could have imagined how different life would be when that day actually came. Like it's just crazy how much life can change over such a relatively short period of time. So it was kind of like an emotional day for me almost today, like to kind of like in retrospect look back at like how my life was when I just as a joke kind of started this like, hey, there's going to be an eclipse in like 10 years and everyone's like, oh, that's kind of funny, I'll join and say I'm going to go anyways even though it's not even really a thing, you know. And then like the day finally comes, you know, that day finally was here. And it was kind of fun though. It was like at work, I was at work and everything was pretty much dead, so like everyone was just having like an eclipse viewing party out in front of the store. And and actually funny enough, like for some reason, like someone like accidentally tripped like one of the fire alarms in the mall, so everyone was like evacuating the building like right before that was happening. So it was kind of eerie. Like it looks all weird outside. Like everything just looks kind of like dull outside because it's like the sun's out, but it's kind of like if you like, let's say you have like a lamp on the ceiling and you have like 4 light bulbs in there and like 3 of them are blown out. It just looks kind of weird. That's how it kind of looked. Like the whole world just looked kind of like something was off. So it was just kind of eerie hearing like those sirens or whatever and like seeing this eclipse happening. And I actually could look up, and I know they say you're not supposed to really look up at it, but like it was kind of weird to look up there and see like this crescent moon looking thing like where the sun is. It was like very weird.
That was risky, brother. Did you have glasses or anything?
Oh no, I didn't. But you know, I don't care. I didn't look at it for very long. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And there was kind of like a little bit of clouds too going by, so it kind of like made it perfect for looking at. But it was actually kind of a pretty fun day. Like I basically just like you know, I got all this cool stuff to drink or whatever, and I just kind of chilled back in like the, you know, back in the by the workbench or whatever, and we have like that big skylight so you can look up and see the sky and all that. So I was like just kind of chilling back there, like listening to music. Like no one's there because everyone's out like watching the eclipse. And it was like kind of like a relaxing day. Like I think there was only like one computer that I even worked on the whole day. It was like pretty chill.
Sounds like the easiest day of work you ever had.
So it was a really chill day until I get home and find out that our washing machine stopped working, which, yeah.
Well, things happen.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should like set like a random date for like 10 years from now and just like making it like just like a random day and make it into like some holiday or something that like we built it up for a decade and then it finally comes and we just like do something.
I gotta say, this actually turned out to be a much bigger deal than I thought it would have been when I started that whole event or whatever on Facebook. Like, I never imagined that it'd be like this huge colossal event like it was, where pretty much every single person like knew it was happening and was like totally engaged.
Just sleeps through it.
Like, I did not run into one person the entire day that wasn't like talking about it. It was like one of the weirdest experiences I've ever like been a part of.
I take it you didn't see it either, Joe?
No, I think I slept through it. My grandma was actually talking about that. She talked about,
we both slept through it.
She was like talking about like at 10 o'clock in the morning or something like that she saw like the sky go to kind of like this like yellowish color with like, I don't know how she described it. I kind of forget because we talked about that earlier, but it was like 10 a.m. and I'm like, yeah, that's when I'm asleep, so I definitely didn't see it then.
It looked kind of crazy in like Nashville where it was like a total eclipse. Like it was basically like night there.
At least 1/3 of the podcast cared enough to see like this like rare thing that happens in the sky. I would have liked to see it. I don't know.
The last time one crossed the entire country like it did this year was 99 years ago.
Wow.
Kind of reminds me of
pretty much a once in a lifetime thing. Well, here's the thing I was thinking of, because yesterday they were talking about Jerry Lewis passing away, and I was thinking, wow, he was born 9 years after the last time there was a total eclipse that crossed the entire country. And, you know, he passed away like the day before this one happened. Like, he lived 91 years, and that never happened in his lifetime. Like, that's how rare this is. Like, you could live to be 91 years old and never see something like that. It's crazy.
Say it's happening again, like 2024?
It's not going to cross the whole country, though. That's the thing. It's going to be
just
going to be in a small area. Although you might actually see that one.
Well, I hope so, because now I feel like I like missed out on something.
It's like the Great American Eclipse, because it's like it was. I want to say, I don't know if it was the only one ever, but probably the first one in documented times to ever only affect the United States. Like, only the United States saw this eclipse.
Well, I didn't, unfortunately. Nor did Joe.
Nor did I.
Maybe next time.
But the 2034 eclipse, I think it's going to, like, go, I want to say from, like, I want to say, like, Texas or something, up into, like, Ohio, and then somewhere up in the East Coast, I think it is. I think it's in 2034.
I thought you said it was 24.
No, that's the other one.
Oh, no, it is. There is 22. It is, that one is in 2024. There's going to be another one, though. I think the next one is in 2024. Yeah, that one's going to start out in, like, Texas, and it's going to go up, like, through, like, Illinois, Ohio. And then it should go, like, directly over you, Chad, actually, this time. That's
maybe
probably even rarer.
Maybe that one I'll actually see. I remember I saw, like, it was some, like, I think it was just, like, a lunar eclipse or something a few years ago. I, like, stood outside to see, and, like, the neighbors were, like, staring out the window at me. But
We'll have to make a trip to Indianapolis for that one.
Let's do it, bro.
Let's do it. I'll start the Facebook event right now.
You and Joe, you going to Indianapolis with us?
You can say it right, maybe.
Are you going to that place?
That place. It's a long time from now. Hard to say.
Oh, it was fun. It was fun to hear about like some of the stuff you did
definitely.
on that trip, and like it was fun. Like the 2 minutes that you went over your summer, Joe. And
Yeah, my story kind of dragged on a little bit.
hey, it was entertaining. I've been waiting to hear about that.
Yeah, and you left us in suspense like twice, so we were ready.
Oh man.
All right, guys, it's time for.
All right, hold on. I hate to do it, but we got to pause for a second.
No.
I have to see if I have to close my window or not real quick, so I don't get interrupted later.
Right. Want to keep talking, TF?
Okay.
Let's keep.
What time of night is it again?
10:42.
Yeah, but what? Oh, okay. I thought it was the time of night for something.
Oh, it's time for our weekly quiz, but.
Oh, okay. We can't start that till Joe gets back, though.
Let's do the quiz without him.
I guess we could talk more about that eclipse. How was your nap, Chad?
Oh, it was pretty good. I had a pretty disturbing dream the other day that I don't really want to talk about here on the podcast. But
I'm reading about some guy apparently who suffered eye damage in the 1962 eclipse.
Oh.
It says he warns people not to make the same mistake.
Yeah, I saw that article.
I mean, I've stared at the sun a lot of times, and granted, my eyes are pretty bad, but I never stared at it long enough to say, "Oh, that's not good." Although it kind of blows my mind to think that there's an object in our sky every day that we depend on for life. that if you stare directly at it, even though it is an unfathomably long distance away from us, that it's still going to injure you. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've never really stared at the sun so long that it hurts my eyes.
Although it was kind of funny. I looked up at the sun right when the eclipse first started, and I had you know how if you look at something really bright, it kind of leaves behind a
those little lights that you see when you close your eyes still.
Yeah. Well, here was the weird thing. When I looked at the sun, it just kind of looked like the regular old sun. Nothing was different about it. When I closed my eyes, I could see the eclipse. It was very weird. It was very bizarre.
Yeah, man, I feel like I missed out on something.
It's kind of Twitter was going crazy. It was kind of funny because we had on all the monitors there, in the store, we were watching it. We were watching one for the camera from Detroit. We were watching one from Memphis, one from Oregon. It was everyone was watching it. Is it starting here yet? Whatever. It was pretty cool. That's definitely something I'll remember.
I'd like to watch it and listen to Black Hole Sun.
Did you see that thing about how where was it? Oregon? I'll have to look this up. Yeah, apparently, where was it? Yeah, Bonnie Tyler, on the CNN broadcast saying total eclipse of the heart, as the eclipse happened.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It was one of the most amusing things ever. It's kind of a majestic moment, this playing, this band or whatever, and then you see it getting dark.
Getting dark.
It's an awesome song. We never stopped the podcast, Joe. Just so you know.
That's fine with me. I'm cool with that actually. As long as you don't have to edit, I'm fine with that. I just felt bad making you edit.
What'd you do? Close the window so no burglars can peek in at you?
I close the window because the air conditioning goes on, so I kind of have to be ahead of that. So I don't have to do it right in the middle when we're in the quiz or the feature.
I wish I had air conditioning. I just have this fan to rely on.
Yeah, I never interview with that because I have fans too, and they don't really help too much.
Well, as I was saying, it's time for our weekly quiz.
I'm all set.
All right.
Do this.
You got the quiz, TF, already?
Got to get it open. This new Skype is a little bit different.
I actually had the quiz this week. I was just kidding.
Oh, I thought you were asking if I had it open. I was like, no, I don't have it yet. I was this new Skype I'm getting used to.
I thought this one looked pretty interesting. It's eat at Lincoln's inauguration, and we'll reveal which president you are. So we're basically just going to pick which food we prefer here. And it's going to tell us which president we are.
This may be our most varied quiz yet, given some of our food tastes.
Yeah.
I am all set when you guys are.
TF,
I'm ready.
All right. It's 1865, and you just scored a ticket to Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural ball. You've arrived with your date in arm. Very happy to have a date. Dressed to the nines, and the only thing left to do is attack that 250-foot-long buffet table. That sounds awesome.
That does sound amazing.
All right. First one here is grab a delicious delicacy to start. And some of this might be kind of weird because this is like 1800s food, so a lot of it's probably food we might not eat. But we have foie gras, oyster stew, terrapin turtle stew, or no thanks. I gotta go with no thanks. I'm not eating any of that stuff.
I'd eat the oyster stew probably. That might be pretty good.
No seafood for this man.
I like seafood actually.
That's like my least favorite food. All seafood. Won't eat anything from the sea.
I have to go with no thanks too. I'm not a seafood person either.
Would you like some salad? We have lobster salad, chicken salad, both, or no thanks. I gotta go with no thanks again. I'm not a salad guy.
Maybe the lobster salad? That sounds pretty decent.
No thanks for me again as well.
Joe and I are picky eaters, in case you couldn't tell.
Well, I'm not a toppings guy, so salad dressing doesn't really do anything for me either, so.
Select the main course. We have roast chicken, roast beef, filet de beef. Never heard it put like that before.
Filet de beef. Veal
filet, smoked ham, or no thanks.
I can get into this one.
Yeah, there's quite a few of these I'd eat. I think I'll go with the roast chicken. I do like roast beef. I like ham, but I'm going to go with the roast chicken.
I will go with...
Preferably with a little gravy on there.
I think maybe the smoked ham. That just looks delicious to me. But all of this looks delicious, so...
That does look really good.
Yeah, I gotta go with the smoked ham, too, even though the chicken is really tempting. I just really like the cooked ham, so I'll go with that.
Filet de beef for you?
Filet de beef.
I actually probably could eat that from the looks of it. Like, there's some stuff I wouldn't eat, but it looks pretty good.
Would you like to try something a little more fancy? We have pheasant, quail, venison,
pheasant,
or no thanks.
Is it me, or does venison look like wood from the outside? Like,
yeah.
It looks like a tree, like a piece of tree bark or something.
Kind of looks like bread.
I kind of see
bread.
that too.
You know what? I'll try quail. Why not? I mean, I like chicken. I like turkey. Like, it sounds odd, but maybe I'd like it.
Are you gonna eat a tree web rat, TF?
I think I would probably try the quail too.
I think I gotta go with no thanks on this.
Can we tempt you with something sweet? We have pound cake, wine jelly, macaroon tart, or no thanks.
Macaroon tart.
You know, that macaroon tart actually looks pretty good. Like, I'm not really sure what it tastes like, but it looks kind of like pie, so that's kind of up my alley. I'll go with the macaroon tart.
All this stuff looks tasty. I think I'll go with the macaroon tart as well. I don't know what it is, but it looks tasty, like a cheesecake or something.
It does.
That is tempting, but I gotta go with the pound cake. Just seems like something like this that I know I probably would like.
All right, it's not an inauguration ball if there isn't ice cream. Pick a flavor. We have vanilla, chocolate, maraschino cherry, I think I pronounced that right, lemon, coffee, or no thanks. I'm gonna go with vanilla. I like vanilla ice cream with like some chocolate sauce on it.
I will go with maybe the coffee. That actually looks pretty good.
That does look pretty good. Like, I don't like coffee, but I do like coffee ice cream.
I will go with vanilla as well. I feel like that's the best one you can mix and match with.
Can you stomach one more bite? We have almonds, chocolate, coffee or tea, or no thanks. I'll go with some chocolate since I have vanilla ice cream.
Maybe coffee or tea.
spot of
Jeff is
tea
a
for you?
Jeff is a coffee man. Coffee, ice cream, coffee.
I kind of am, honestly.
I gotta go with chocolate. I think Chad nailed it in the head. The ice cream would go well.
All right, guys. Which president in history reminds you of me?
A tough one.
Man, this is like... I know some of their personalities, was kind of like trying to find someone that's kind of closer to you, like you. It's a little tougher.
If either of you say Trump, you're off the show.
I don't think I'd say that for anyone.
Yeah. I don't know if that's 100% accurate. Let's see. Go way back.
I'm not really sure. Like, I'm looking at these, but I don't even know if I have an answer for this.
Or what about TF? What president do you think fits TF, Joe?
But that's an even crazier question.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
For some reason, for you, Chad, I'm thinking like more like along the lines of someone like a, I don't know, like a, maybe like a Theodore Roosevelt or something, like someone further back, you know, maybe President Grant.
I don't know too much about them, so I don't know if I can comment on that or not. But
for some reason, John F. Kennedy was coming to mind for Chad, but I didn't really want to go with that because I feel like I'm not sure.
I like Kennedy. I wouldn't mind that.
I could see that, actually.
I'll go with him. I might as well. That's just what came to mind thinking of him.
Maybe it's just because like you were so into him back in the day, but I think for TF I'm gonna go with George W. Bush.
Everyone hates me. I'm okay with that.
What do you
Good
think,
fortune.
Joe?
Oh, I'll go with that. I think that's a pretty good one. I couldn't really think of TF myself, but that fits. Good fortune picking for me, though. Say that.
Joe Obama. Joe. What do you think, TF?
I don't know. I could see him more of like a Reagan or something like that. Like a guy who I don't know, not such an aggressive president, you know, some guy who's more, you know, more laid back and sensible. Not someone who was president during like times of war, like you know. Like, not that there wasn't their fair share of things going on in the 80s, but
I don't really know why, and I'm sticking like kind of recent for both of you, but for some reason I'm thinking Bill Clinton. Just like
he's a lot like Bill Clinton in some ways.
Hopefully, without the controversy there.
Minus the controversy. You're not a super controversial figure, but I actually got George Washington. His bow down to the OG. You like to stick to the classics.
OG.
Because, hey, there's nothing wrong with keeping it simple. You might not have GW's powered wig and wooden tooth, but you're still an old soul and a throwback in the best possible way. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Like, I don't know. I don't own any slaves, but
I can kind of see that from the description in a sense, because you kind of like you like a lot of old music. You prefer that over today's music and such. Like you just seem like you're kind of more of a throwback type of guy in that sense. Like you taste are more geared towards old school stuff. I can see that.
I can see that. I'm the OG. I'm the OG president.
Yep, you're the OG.
What'd you get, TFO?
I actually got Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Just like FDR, you're incredibly charming, popular, and successful. You're known to be very fair, although you sometimes overstay your welcome. But no one's complaining.
Well, you know what? Everybody calls him FDR. Everybody calls you TF, so you have that.
That's true.
There you go.
That is very true.
What'd you get, Joe?
I got the same thing TF got, so...
I don't know if I can think of anything that you have in common with him, but...
Hey, I'm charming, popular, and successful in my own mind. In my own mind. I could be that in my own mind. Doesn't mean it's reality. That was a fun quiz. That was different.
Yeah, it was different. I always like to try and change it up, pick some different ones, but it is now time for our weekly feature. What you got for us, FDR Review?
Oh, crap.
Hey, FDR, R. He has the last name that starts with R.
There you go.
True.
But I forgot.
Franklin Delano Review.
All right, I got a classy feature here. Can you guess what it is, Chad?
5 random questions.
No, I haven't done 5 random questions in a long time. I have a hard time coming up with questions.
Press game.
You have guessed correctly.
All right.
Ooh.
All right, and we're going to get started right off the bat. Chad, you get to go first.
You know it is tradition. First.
But, okay, you're ready.
I'm ready.
I'm more ready, so pick me first.
No.
Don't worry, Jeff.
I'm the OG, man.
Well, he does have a point. He is the OG. Okay, and they saved the best for last, Jeff. Just remember that. But,
all right. So I wanted the last two.
Your first one, Chad, is Allison Williams.
All right, now, it's been a while since we've done this, so this is the one where I, like...
You either keep or you press.
Okay,
Because you get 2 presses, so...
I know there was another game where, like, I'd give one to you and one to TF.
Yeah.
I forgot what that one was.
I don't remember that name either. But I remember this...
I will press. I don't know that much about her.
Okay, your next choice is Reese Witherspoon.
Not bad, but I'm feeling risky. I'm going to press.
Hopefully I pronounce this right. Frida Pinto.
Frida Pinto. I think I know the name. Let me Google.
Yeah, she was pretty popular a few years back.
Frida Pinto. Not bad. Could do worse.
Okay. It's a good opening round, I think. Warming up. Now we got TF. FDR, right. TF here. Start off TF with Gigi Hadid.
Ooh.
Who was it?
Gigi Hadid.
Oh, that's a good one right off the bat.
I like my chances here with this, so I think I don't think I'm going to press this one.
Smart man.
Give you props for that one. The other choices in a second were Miranda Kerr, and hopefully I say this one right, Zhao Zun.
Zhao Zun?
Yeah. Z-H-O-U-X-U-N.
Z-H-O-U-X-U-N. Huh.
I think it's hard to go wrong.
Is it this girl that died in 1957, or...
No, she's like she's an actress. Like she's married to some fella named Archie Cow.
Archie Cow.
That's a good name. Not quite as good as Benedict Cumberbatch, but
oh, he's a legend on this show.
Now I want to see a movie between Benedict Cumberbatch and Archie Cow.
Hey, I'd watch that.
I would too.
We got round 2. I'm just gonna keep going with Chad first, just because it keeps the rhythm up of.
Okay.
Well, like going twice in rows.
Yeah, I like doing it better. That way I get to be first every time.
All right, first choice, Priscilla Perales.
I gotta Google that. I have no idea who that is.
Last name is Perales.
Priscilla Presley's coming up. What was it again?
Priscilla Perales.
Perales?
Perales. There's one L in Priscilla. Just.
All right, I'm not even finding this, so I'm just gonna press.
Okay, your second choice is Lauren Cohan.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I gotta think. Do you risk or do you stay?
I'm gonna be smart this time and keep her.
I do not blame you for that. Your third choice would have been Eva Longoria.
That's good, but I'm fine with Lauren.
All right, we got TF going now. TF, your first choice is Alyssa Campanella.
Ooh.
I know the name.
Ooh. This is another tough one. I feel bad with going right off the bat, so I think I'm going to press, but I may regret this, because that's actually a pretty decent first choice. I guess really good.
Yeah, not bad.
Your second choice is Heather Locklear.
It's a little bit of a throwback.
Now, is this like prime Heather Locklear, or is this like Heather Locklear now?
I might as well go with prime Heather Locklear.
Hmm?
Yeah, that's throwing it back a little ways. I like her, but I think I'll press. If it was like 1980 something, I probably would.
All right, that leaves you with Kate Blanchett, TF.
Could do worse.
I mean, back. Yeah, I mean, you know,
could do better, but could do worse.
Yeah.
All right, we're
A little bit older than me, you know. Like probably could be my mother, but you know.
Hey, experience, TF, experience.
Well,
hope everybody's enjoying the show here, where we objectify women. But we do.
We got round 3 coming up here. Chad, your first choice is Holly Valence.
I another one I gotta Google. I have no idea who Holly Valens is. At least it's a fairly easy name to. Not bad. Australian girl. I'm gonna press though.
I may have to redo this since TF kept his, but it was Gigi again, so I'm gonna skip past her. And Amy Wren.
Who?
Amy Wren. W-R-E-N. That's the last name.
W what?
R-E-N.
R-E-N. Amy Wren.
Yep.
She's pretty cute. I'll press. Feeling risky.
That leaves your last choice as... Hopefully I say this right, because you'll kill me if I don't. Karen Gillan.
Oh, I am very happy with that.
Figured you would.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And now we have TF's time. TF, your first choice is Joanna Krupa, I'm going to say.
Sounds familiar.
I know of her.
Oh, man, I'm getting like really solid choices like right off the bat. I am going to reluctantly press.
Depending on how you feel, it may have paid off. He's got Rosie Huntington Whiteley.
Ooh,
wow.
That's a dang good one.
Oh, you're in a spot.
I think I'm going to have to stay with this one. I'm going to have to stay. Yep. I'm going to stand pat.
Your third choice would have been Willa Holland.
Oh, that's another good choice.
That is a good one.
I couldn't really lose there.
Nope.
Hey, Joe, can we change up the rules? I actually liked one better where we assign one to someone.
Let's not change the rules because you'll see why.
Okay.
I'm trying to... Okay.
I'm guessing like Roseanne or someone's on here now.
No. You'll see.
All right,
Chad, this is round 4. Your first choice is Jennifer Aniston.
She's never really been my type, so I'm going to press.
You might have to Google this, and maybe you don't. Sarah Ellen.
Sarah Ellen. I feel like I've heard the name before.
Is she a model?
I believe so.
I'm just seeing... Oh, she's Australian.
Yeah, I'm looking at her Instagram. Not bad. I'm feeling risky, though. I'm going to press.
I think your pressing paid off. Danielle Panabaker.
Aye. I'll take that. Getting Doctor Who girls, Flash girls.
All right, TF. Your first choice, Jodie Foster.
Ooh, that's a little bit of a throwback, too. It's bringing back some memories. Would be weird, though, that, she's, definitely, old enough to be my mother. So, I might...
Plus, I'm not
might
sure.
Have to,
I might be thinking of someone else. I think she's not into guys.
Yeah, you're right, actually. So, but still, I'm not basing it off that. I just, yeah.
Maybe
I think we're better off. I could be her adopted son or something.
So your final answer is to press, TF?
Yeah, I'm going to press.
TF becomes the most hated man alive because he gets Selena Gomez.
Okay.
TF.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be kind of hard for me to regret standing pat on this choice.
All right. Last round here.
What would the last choice have been, though?
Oh, I just moved.
Or was that? Oh, I don't care. I mean, I was just curious. I mean, I don't care.
I think I can't go back. Okay.
We'll never know, but I'm gonna be sure of that.
I don't think you can top that, TF. Although I think Chad got you back here, TF. Because Chad's first choice for the last round is Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I could keep her just to be spiteful, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to press, because I feel like you guys are more into Taylor than I am. I'm more of a fan of her music.
That leaves Olivia Munn. Well, I shouldn't say that leaves. You still got another choice after that.
I'll press.
Lisa Edelstein.
I got to Google her.
Oh, she's from House, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep, she was.
She's a choice, all right.
All right, we got TF's last round here. Man, TF, you're on a roll. Vanessa Hudgens is your first choice.
Ooh.
Yeah, TF's killing me in this tonight.
Yeah, I keep getting great choices off the bat, and
I get Lisa Edelstein.
I'm gonna stand pat. I
don't blame
All right.
you.
Well,
who was the other two, Ben, or did you just switch it again?
No, I have the other two. The other two would have been Rosie Tupper and Alyssa Milano.
Oh, Alyssa Milano. I like Alyssa Milano.
Yeah.
Well, you guys ready for the twist?
Okay.
You both just picked for each other.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Oh, so Chad, you passed on Taylor, so you screwed me over.
I'm sorry.
Now, for the next part,
you get Karen Gillan though.
Hold on. For the next part of this, I'm gonna need you guys to pick some stuff.
Okay.
Chad, I need you to pick a song.
Great Balls of Fire. Don't know why that came into my mind.
Okay. TF, I need you to pick a song. This is gonna be something. I'll say that.
Let's see. Is any random song?
Yep. Any song that comes to your mind.
I have no idea why this is coming into my mind right now. I think it might be because we were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy earlier, but Mr. Blue Sky by Electric Light Orchestra was popping into my head.
All right. Chad, I need a movie.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Okay, this is getting good. TF, I need a movie from you as well.
A movie. Let's go with the original Scream.
No, this is going to be crazy, but Chad, I need any random location anywhere in the world.
Dayton, Ohio, and I have no idea why that came into my head.
Dayton, Ohio. Okay. TF, I need a location.
We're talking a lot about Nashville today, so go with Nashville.
And okay, we still got two more to go. I need an item, Chad. Just any item, period.
A stapler.
TF, I need an item.
This is weird because it's another office item, but I was thinking of a clipboard.
All right.
I may regret this with a stapler and Great Balls of Fire.
I need an activity, Chad, something you would do. Preferably with someone else. Something you could share.
Horseback riding.
TF, I need an activity as well.
Golfing.
All right. Here's what you guys are going to do. You're gonna have to each design a date for the other with what the other picked for their choices. So, to start this off, this is why I picked Chad to go first here, because I know you're kind of you got more time to think.
All right, let me write these down here.
All right. Chad, you must come up with a choice. You must come up with a date for TF with Freda Pinto using the song Mr. Blue Sky. You want me to give you a second while I give TF his choices so he can note this down?
Yeah, give me just a second.
Okay, TF, you're making a date for Chad with Gigi Hadid, and your song of choice is Great Balls of Fire.
I can think of a lot of things.
Oh man, this
all right, I'm gonna have Joe and Freda, or TF and Freda, are gonna go for a lovely walk in the park, holding hands and they stop, get like a ice cream cone, and they share it, and they're like licking it together, and they look up at the beautiful blue sky, and she's like, I'm gonna call you Mr. Blue Sky because I'm always gonna associate you with like this bright, beautiful day.
That's actually pretty good. I'll give you that.
I honestly am like struggling to think of anything appropriate with this situation.
I'm cool with inappropriate. Just saying. I'm just glad the stapler doesn't come into play.
Well, while he thinks, Chad, sing us a line from the song.
I'm just imagining something happening.
Great Balls of Fire.
I'm just imagining like something happening.
Gracious, great balls of fire.
And like Gigi just saying like great balls of fire afterwards. So you probably had a pretty decent date.
You know what? I can't really think of any bad scenarios there. So.
Oh, man.
Oh my God!
All right, round number 2 here. Chad, you have to design a date for TF around Lauren Cohan, and TF's movie of choice was Scream.
Oh man!
TF, you have to design a date for Chad around Kate Blanchett. Chad's movie of choice, Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Oh, I got to think about this for a minute.
This should be good.
Now, is this like a date that he's supposed to enjoy, or just a date, period?
Just a date based off the plot of the movie, whatever comes to mind. Could be bad, could be good, whatever you can get.
All right. All right. Lauren Cohan and Scream. This is...
It's hard to make this into something good, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be getting a good date here, TF, just being honest. TF and Lauren Cohan go to see Scream at the movie theater. No.
No, it has to involve the plot, so you had to work in at least something involved in that. There was a Scream where they did go to the movie theater, though, so you could go off of that. Go ahead.
So TF and Lauren Cohan are on a date, and things are going well, and they went out to go eat and stuff, and they go back to his place for a little Great Balls of Fire, and all of a sudden like this like hooded figure appears and like starts trying to kill you guys, and Lauren's like, oh no, that's my ex-boyfriend, and you're like, what? And she's like, that's my ex-boyfriend. He's done this before, and he's like chasing you around the house, like trying to kill you and make you pay so that you like he can take you out of the picture and like he can have her. This is really bad, but but you and him get into like this fight, and you end up like beating him in the end because of your experience in Detroit dealing with like gun thugs and. Thankfully, that pays off for you, and like you subdue him before the police come to get him. But in a twist, in the end, it's actually EFD who is behind under the hood.
That was quite elaborate. I do applaud you on that.
It's going to be hard to top that, yeah. But you get your chance. That was tough to top.
It is tough to top. I'm thinking of like a date. Where I don't know if so much it's like a date, but basically like Kate Blanchett and Chad are like investigating a murder of like a cartoon or something, and they end up like solving the case somehow and falling in love and end up going out or something. I don't know.
That sounds like the worst date ever.
They end up driving off in like a cartoon taxi cab or something. And
okay, you're winning me back now.
They're in like a cartoon restaurant. And then it kind of becomes like a.
Is the food real at least?
Take on Me video or something where you become like drawings and pull her out of the drawing.
That'd be quite a date, I gotta say that. Like
you would never forget it.
At first, I was like, I'm not so into Kate Blanchett. I'm not so much into this idea. But then they had like the cartoon Taxi that kind of won me over a little bit.
Oh man! Wow, we got another round here. Chad, you have to come up.
This is fun. I like this idea, Joe.
You have to come up with a date for TF with Karen Gillan.
Okay.
And his location was Nashville, Tennessee. So you have to work in Nashville, Tennessee. Quite a good scenario to work with.
You and Karen are gonna go to eat at one of those like restaurants they have there. I think it's called like a meat and three, where you like pick out like a meat and 3 sides, and you go around to Nashville. You go check out like the Grand Ole Opry, and you like go see a country music concert. And she's like kind of into this because she's British. Like this is like something different for her. And then you go like square dancing, which would be very amusing to see.
I like this.
You have a fun night, and you square dance for a while, and you share a nice moment outside under the beautiful Nashville moonlight.
There you go.
Very romantic kiss at the end.
That does sound very romantic.
TF, you have to top that by you get to put together a date with Chad and Rosie Huntington Whiteley, and it's in Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio. Wow.
Yeah, that's a very random location.
That's difficult.
I don't even know why that came to mind.
I'm imagining I know that like Dayton is like a largest town, but I kind of associate it more with like that area of Ohio where it's kind of like out in the country. So I'm imagining like somewhere like in the outskirts of town, like going on like a hayride, like in the fall, and like a.
I'm allergic to hay, right?
We're just making something up here.
That would end very badly for me.
It could be like a ride. They use artificial hay, okay?
Okay, I'm cool with that.
And it's like in the fall, and there's like pumpkins, and I don't know. Just sounds cozy, like the sun setting, and.
All right, that sounds pretty awesome.
I don't know.
He made something out of nothing, so I can.
Yeah, Dayton is very hard. I have no idea, like, if there's anything.
I give you credit for that, and that sounds like a great date. You're a great person to be with on that date too. So.
Here's an interesting one. Chad, for round 4, you have to come up with a date for TF with Danielle Panabaker, and it has to involve a clipboard. Meanwhile, TF has to come up with a date for Chad with Selena Gomez, and it has to involve a stapler.
I'm not sure I like the sound of this.
Unpleasant for you, Chad, for me switching it around.
That's a different kind of Great Balls of Fire. Well, Danielle is like, she's like super OCD, which TF is too, so he can like relate to this. And she's like, I need to plan this out like detail by detail. So she sits like at the very start of the day, and she's planning out like all these different things that you're gonna do. And even though this gets a little boring and tedious at first, because you're sitting there like, I just want to go. But then you have this amazing date where you like go and do like all this amazing stuff. Like you go bowling, you go to like a concert, you go eat at like this great restaurant, like the best restaurant in town, because she like fact checked. She went through every restaurant in town to make sure that you guys go to the best. You go see the best movie with the best reviews because she made sure that you were going to go to the best movie. She was very OCD about this. She wanted the perfect date so you get the perfect date. All because of this clipboard of hers.
I think the most fun to me is like picturing these in my head, like a montage of like what's going, like everything you guys say. It's kind of these amusing visuals of stuff going on.
I knew I had to be nice there, because if not,
yeah, you're gonna get stapled.
And funnily, like Selena Gomez was interested in a commercial on TV.
I saw that. I was like, Leah, I was gonna mention that. She looks nice there, but she might be stapling your mouth, Chad. Never know.
I'm going to say, so you met up with her somewhere, Chad, with Selena somewhere, and you had this great interaction. Like you had this great night or whatever, but you never like the night ended before you guys got to exchange like numbers or anything like that. So with your stapler, you went around and were like putting up posters asking who this person was, and somehow after
I'm pretty sure I know who Selena Gomez is.
Weeks of doing this, you're able to find out who it was that you were hanging out with that night, and you end up going on a great date, and at the end of the day, you give her the stapler as a gift. I don't know.
I'm going to help TF. Selena Gomez was incognito from the paparazzi, so you could not tell who she was.
Hey.
All right, fair enough.
I had to help out TF because...
Hey, that works. Although I'm not really too concerned about the how logical it is or not, considering we're talking about like a stapler, but...
Yeah, I don't know about giving her a stapler as a date. Like that. I don't know if I
Stapler
do that.
as a date?
It's because it brought you guys
Yeah.
back together. Because you knew it was...
Okay, that's romantic.
Now I'm picturing like Selena Gomez on a date with a stapler because Chad gave her the stapler.
We'll tell our grandkids all about this stapler that brought us together.
This is how you guys were made.
You'll name your child Stapler, your son. All right. Last round, number 5. This is quite the round. Chad, you have to design a date for TF with Lisa Edelstein. And it has to involve golfing.
Uh-huh.
TF, you have to design a date for Chad with Vanessa Hudgens and it has to involve horseback riding.
Aw. Chad gets all the good ones.
Yeah, he stole your choices.
I'm going to try and make this good. Like, I could just boringly say you guys go golfing, but I want to make this interesting.
See, as you think, like when I came up with this, I was kind of in two sets of mind of like, either I gotta tell them that they're doing this like in reverse, but then I thought to myself, but then they wouldn't really have this pressure of like choosing the best one. Like they would know that the other is going to get it anyways. So I was like, I'm just going to keep it a secret, and whoever they pick is going to be their absolute best pick. So
I'm going to make this work. All right, TF goes on a date with Lisa Edelstein, however you say her name, and they meet to go golfing. But the thing is, like, the date really doesn't don't go very well. There's like an age difference. They don't hit it off. They have nothing in common, and they're nice about it. They're like, this just isn't working. She leaves, and TF is kind of down about it. But he already paid to go through golfing, so dang it, he's going to continue to play golf. So he plays through a round of golf. He's trying to cheer up a little bit. It's a nice day. He wants to enjoy it. And all of a sudden, he hits his ball, and it's going towards the hole. But another ball comes and hits the ball, and they both go in the hole. And then TF looks over and sees Taylor Swift at that same golf course. And she, too, is playing golf, and she's there by herself. And she's feeling kind of down because she had a date, but it didn't really work out. And you two meet, you find each other, you fall in love. You play through another round of golf, and then you go get something to eat, and you live very happily ever after.
I will allow this loophole just because TF gave up like 2 good choices in a row to you, so I will allow
he technically had a date with Lisa. It just didn't work out.
It just didn't work out, okay? I like that one, Chad. I really do.
And she was a guest at your wedding because she kind of brought you guys together in some way.
I don't know. As far as the horseback riding goes, I mean, I think that one, it seems like it's pretty cozy, like either way, any way that you spin it. But I'm like imagining like a date where like you guys like rent like a cabin somewhere in the mountains in like Wyoming or something, and like spend the day horseback riding, like down these old trails, and it's kind of like you're like back in the cowboy days or something, and like at the end of the day, like. You like take you like go out into like out into the forest somewhere, and like there's like a tent that you set up a tent and like put the horses to sleep. Like they go to sleep, and then you like have a cozy night out there in the mountains in a tent, like watching the stars and the moon and all that good stuff. I
gotta say, TF, that one was my favorite. So that's a fitting one for that. That is like my favorite out of all the dates.
Well, like I said, it's like hard to go wrong here. That just sounds cozy.
It really is.
Cozy,
like there is no scenario where you go horseback riding with Vanessa Hudgens where it's gonna end badly.
Go wrong.
Exactly.
Well, there are ways you could.
Well, maybe if I fall off the horse.
Yeah, exactly.
that runs over you.
But yeah, that was a feature. I thought I'd combine the press game with the one you did last time, Chad, to pick 5, but I couldn't really come up with my 5 scenarios.
That was clever. That was fun. It challenged us to be inventive, and I like that. What was your favorite date that I set you up on there, TF?
Honestly,
Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah, honestly, I think that one was the best. Mr. Blue Sky. It just sounded cozy to me. Although the last one you had for me was good too because it like ended very well.
I thought he would choose Scream for sure.
No, not so much.
You get a nickname for life of Mr. Blue Sky.
Yeah. That's one of the best parts.
Picture TF like wearing a blue sky like a t-shirt with like a blue sky on it for some reason.
I do like blue sky.
I like blue skies too. Well, that was our show, everybody. It was fun to do the podcast again. It's been a while. Hopefully, it's not too long before we do another one. And I want to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, had a fun show tonight. Had a good time, and it was nice catching up with everybody. And yeah, we're gonna make this happen more often now. You know, life's been a little bit rough. You know, there's been a lot getting thrown at us, but we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna keep going, and you know, tonight's a testament of that. You know, so we're gonna hopefully get another podcast next week. But until next time, whenever that may be, take care and have a good one. And thanks for listening.
See you next time, everybody. Don't you dare miss it.